Hey everyone, back into today's video. It's JMA Monday. Today we're going to have a look at the 3 monthly forecast for the Japanese bond. Just came in over the weekend. Had a quick look at it on the blog yesterday, actually. So if you're looking at the blog, you'll know what it's going to show. If not, I can tell you that it's not going to be a great update if you want a nice summer. It's churned out a very nasty update indeed this morning. But we'll have a look at all that in a moment. Also have a look at the CFS for the coming month as well. But before you go on back, just say about the ads. There's links to articles, all the pages at gazblog.com. Have a browse through widgets, any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You're able to go off and read the article. And because you're going from Gazblog is where the article is, we get everything on what you're doing. Thanks very much for doing that. But it's also the ads to those pages. They open out in the content. When you watch them, they'll close back up again. Thanks for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. So we'll start off with the 500 millibar height anomaly Northern Hemisphere view from the Japanese one for the next 3 months, and then we'll go on and have a look at the mid-latitude view and see how this breaks down in terms of the temperature, precipitation and wind direction. So we'll start off with the anomaly for June. Now blue's extrapolating to low pressure, yellow and orange extrapolating to high pressure. So what we see for June is an anomalous trough of low pressure sitting more or less around just to the east of the country, with a ridge in the central part of the Atlantic, and that extends up to the north as well. The jet stream here is going rather like that. It's a very elongated jet stream. So we're on the cool side of the jet there. We're close to a trough of low pressure. It's going to be a cool and unsettled June if that one comes off. Now as we go through into July, if anything, conditions deteriorate even more. For July, we find the trough becoming centred and quite deep right over top of the country. We've got this ridge in the Atlantic, but it's too far away to really impact our weather and give us fine conditions. So the jet stream here is going rather like that. We're on the cool side of the jet, and I say that ridge is too far away to give us sort of dry and warm summer-like conditions. So under that trough of low pressure, it would be a very disappointing July indeed. If you want a dry and a warm month, it would be quite a wet month, I would think, with that low pressure right over the top of the country. That's properly in there over the UK. And then we go through to August, and well, look at this. It's just a continuation of the pattern, really. The trough of low pressure is still over the UK, maybe going a little bit to the south of the country. Signs of ridging around Iceland, but that's no good up there. That doesn't really help us out. So the jet stream again goes something like that. We remain on the cool side of the jet under a trough of low pressure. The only thing about August is that the flow may go a little bit more easterly, with the trough tending to be further south. So it means that it could be a slightly warmer. We could drag in warmer air from the east, but also potentially a very wet month down in the south. Possibly even thundery as well. But overall, it's a very, very disappointing update that from the JMA model for the coming 3 months. Let's see how this breaks down in terms of the mid-latitude view. So we start off with June, of course, and for June we've got that ridge through the central part of the Atlantic, just there. British Isles in the far top right-hand corner of the chart, you looked at it over there. We're under a trough over and just to the east of the UK for June. So the temperature anomaly is coming out significantly cooler than average in most blue colour, so very cool June coming up if that comes off. The reason for that is that the mean wind flow direction, not sure if you can quite make this out, but the arrows show that the mean wind flow direction is coming from sort of a northerly or northwesterly type direction. So that's the reason that it's a cooler than average month in June. In terms of the rainfall anomaly, it's coming out near normal, maybe a little bit wetter than average. Really, the driest conditions probably in the west and the wettest in the east. But an unsettled and pretty cool month coming up there if that's right for June. As we go through to July, as I say, there was indications of a deterioration, really, in the pattern for July. So there's the mid-latitude 500 millibar height anomaly view. You can see that trough right in over the top of the country, a very deep area of low pressure, really anomalously sitting around the country. It means that the temperature for July comes out, again, significantly cooler than average. The mean wind direction, again, remains sort of northerly, possibly even a bit northeasterly. So, again, that's the reason the temperatures are being pulled back in July, because the mean wind flow direction is coming from the north. And the precipitation anomaly, again, it's a bit drier actually in the north and the northwest, and it's wetter in the east and the south. A little bit surprisingly, and I would expect actually if that trough was sitting over the country as it's showing on the model, excuse me, all places will very likely have a really wet month of it. So again, very disappointing update for July. And then finally we go through to August, and again, if you remember, the trough of low pressure is in over the country through August. So again, the 500 millibar height anomaly view shows those blue colours in over the UK. So again, another unsettled month can be expected. The ridge is out in the Atlantic, and you can't see it, but it just stretches up to Iceland as well. The temperature anomaly for August, it's a full hat trick of the cooler than average month. So here we go with the temperature anomaly for August. It's coming out in the blue colours again. So a cooler than average month for all 3 summer months. That really would be a very cool summer if that came off. The mean wind flow arrows are still pointing from the north, so again, that's the reason why it's a cool summer, all 3 months coming out cooler than average, because the mean wind direction is northerly. And then the rainfall anomaly, very similar to the other 2 months, a bit wetter in the south, drier in the north. So it does imply that the south gets the worst of the rain. Interestingly, this summer, England and Wales will have a wetter summer than Scotland and Northern Ireland, which is quite unusual. Actually, I'm not sure quite why that's happening, just that the ridging is more out to the west than the northwest, I think. So it implies that the north and the west keep it drier. But particularly for July, with that trough stuck right over the top of the country, all places would have a very unsettled month. Now, what's going on with this? It's difficult to say. This update, although we've only just seen it on the JMA website, but this update was probably generated right at the start of May. And that was a period where we was transitioning from that very warm and dry weather that we had in April to a much cooler and unsettled pattern that we've had through May. What could have happened here is that the model, because it was generating this forecast around a time of transition from the April pattern to the May pattern, it may have gone sort of over the top and run away with these unsettled conditions. So let's wait and see what it's showing next month before we take this too seriously. But it's a very, very poor run, and it's possible that it's right with its forecast, but I think it looks a bit over the top, really. To get all 3 summer months coming out that bad is very unusual. We don't normally get summers that poor. So it could have, as I say, gone over the top when it was generating the forecast during a period where the weather was changing from a warm and dry pattern to a cooler and wetter pattern that we've had in May. The CFS V2 is indicating signs of a bit of an improvement for June. So I'll just quickly show you these. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly charts broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period, of course, has seen an unsettled pattern. We've got low pressure to the north and the east, the ridge out in the Atlantic. So the flow there is going like that. It's a cool and unsettled week coming up, of course. We go through to the next week period, going from the 24th of May to the 30th, and the ridge is down to the southwest of the country. It is turning things a bit drier in the west, but it's still not a properly sort of settled pattern, with the jet stream going a bit like that. It's still not a proper settled pattern, but it is a bit drier in the west. But then as we go through to the start of June, this would be anomaly to the 31st of May to the 6th of June, we actually find those red colours building in towards the country. So high pressure is sort of pushing in early on in June, and this will be sending the jet stream up to the north into that sort of position. So we're going on to the warm side of the jet there, with the high pressure building in. That will be a warmer and drier start to June And then by the time you get through to the 7th to the 13th of June, the red colours are centred right over the top of the country. So that would be a very dry week coming up if that was right. And the flow would be going like that. So that would be drier and significantly warmer probably as well as we go through the first couple of weeks of June. So this is how the temperatures break down with that. Of course, we start off significantly cooler than average through the course of the coming week. And it stays generally fairly cool into the end of May. Actually, the anomaly does come up a bit, but it's still cooler than average for the week from the 24th to the 30th. But as we go through to that first week of June, we do see indications that temperatures are starting to lift up. So England and Wales particularly going into those sort of yellow colours, indicating that temperatures are beginning to show improvement. And by the time we get through to the week to the 7th to the 13th, we go significantly warmer than average actually through this week. So that would be bringing a proper burst of summer through during the second week of June. And of course that is at odds with what the JMA is showing even for June. So I think we're going to be very careful about this JMA update. It is a very, very bad update, but I think there's probably a reason for why it's gone so bad, and it is probably, as I say, because it was generated during a period where we was going from a dry and warm pattern from April to a cooler, wetter pattern for May. It's probably gone over the top, so we're going to have to wait and see what it's showing when it updates next month. Of course, the JMA will make up at least a little part of the Gasworthy summer forecast, and I'm going to be releasing on the 31st of May, the last day of the month, and that model will go into the forecast, so we've got to take it on board, but we'll have several other models to go at as well, and we'll come to a conclusion from all of them. We won't use the JMA in isolation. So a very bad update from the Japanese model, but the CFS is already showing that it may well be wrong, and it's gone over the top with its cool and unsettled summer idea. So let's wait and see. Come back to the events page tonight when we'll be doing the latest instalment for the May Day, for the late May bank holiday weekend, the late spring bank holiday weekend. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.